Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Tim Wagon. I am here with Vincent Sism, and we are back after a long break.
Yes, I didn't want to do it while COVID was still a major issue. Funny enough, this would have come out in 2020 had COVID not hit.
Exactly. We've all got a couple more gray hairs. You got any? No, you're still looking good.
Still looking good.
Which is
my retail job hasn't cost me any gray hairs yet. Thank God.
This is Raising Awareness, episode 14. Vincent, it's great to see you.
Good to see you again, Tim.
Where's your retail job?
Over at Target.
You're still at Target?
Yep, still at Target.
How long have you been there?
Over 5 years now.
5 years?
Yeah.
They taking care of you?
Yeah, and I am so fortunate that I had a essential job during COVID.
Yeah.
Because if I had to work at home, this series would have ended at episode 13, the unlucky number, because I would have committed suicide due to cabin fever.
Right.
Yeah. I was very fortunate.
So, go ahead. Well, so how did you? You're the first person I talked to who was in a supermarket or in that time, and I remember specifically when the media finally caught on to, hey, wait a minute, yes, we need to thank the nurses and the first responders and that sort of thing, but the people who were in the grocery stores, and the stores, it was really pretty. Was it scary or?
Not as scary as it could have been. At least for me personally, I have a great immune system. I've gotten illnesses that most people would be hospitalized for, and I barely missed school.
You power through it. It doesn't even affect you, really. It hurts you a little bit, but not much.
Yeah, I might have gotten COVID early 2021. I'm not certain about that because the results never came back positive. But all I got from that was diarrhea.
Right.
If that was the cause.
Right.
And I think it was because I had it for 3 days in a row, and the first couple of days I was like, maybe it was something I ate. Third day I was like, yeah, something's up.
Right. Yeah.
So I went, and then I found out I had a close contact with a family member over Christmas, and I went to get tested and stayed home. And that's how I know I would have probably committed suicide if I didn't have my retail job, because the week alone was already bad enough.
Right, yeah, right. And it was a long time.
Yeah.
It would have lasted for a long time.
Basically, as it opening the door for my grocery delivery, never went out until the day I found out I was in the clear.
Right. Yeah. Sure. And but anyway, well, thank you for doing that because again, that was it was a bit scary. Some people weren't scared of it. Some people were, and for those who were, we were thinking about.
Yeah, and people were very much thankful for us retailer places being open, because one person in 2020 said, in late 2020 said, if retail wasn't open and we had to get all our stuff delivered to our houses, I would have gone insane.
Yeah. No,
people were thanking us for being open just so they could get out of the house.
Right, yeah, right, exactly. There was a lot of that. I remember, so it's interesting. So anyway, we haven't seen each other since that long.
Yeah.
So so 14 was supposed to happen back then at some point, episode 14.
Yeah, I came in, COVID had not quite hit the U.S. when I scheduled it, but then when they announced that things were going to start locking down for COVID, I canceled it. Right.
I think we probably shut down right about then too.
Yeah.
So anyway, typically what we do on this show is we have some questions, and then we get into some hot topics and current events and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first question is, and I'm going to go with the third question first because I found this really kind of interesting.
Okay.
Not an interesting just I'm interested to see what you have to say about this. I just learned that my daughter has a disability. And I feel that I have upset God, is this person's question or statement, because neither her mom nor or he or her grandparents or have any disability.
Correct. They do have disabilities. They just don't have the one the child has.
Okay. So they do. So they do have disabilities, and then how do I lead to recover? How do I get to recover from the disability?
Okay.
And that's sort of So, but this person felt she had done something wrong to God.
Well, the parents are very religious, and they understand that disabilities happen. But this one was apparently a much more severe disability than any of their family members had experienced.
Okay.
So that's why they were asking. And all I can say is this. Now, the disability question was not an easy one to cure with medication. So, but it is
Can I ask what the disability is? Okay, so you say no. It doesn't matter. You can say no.
No,
Okay.
I don't want to reveal too many details because the parents asked for anonymity.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
but basically, it was one of those disabilities where you cannot manage it with medication alone.
Okay.
But this one is surprisingly one of those ones that is more easily managed with training rather than medication. Medication can help, but training
Meaning
getting them into a understanding how this works, because it's sort of a disability that doesn't just cause learning problems, it causes physical problems from time to time.
okay.
The medication can help with the mental aspect, but less so with the physical aspects.
Okay.
And that's where the training comes in.
Right. So you know what to do when the physical starts to happen or it pops up.
Yeah. Though the fortunate thing was this daughter had just developed it in her teenage years.
Right.
Which means generally with this particular one, that's a great thing. Because the later this particular one starts, the more easier it is to control.
Right. But then it just happened later. It's happened recently.
Yeah, it just happened a couple months ago.
Okay.
So
then that's why maybe they were thinking that they had done something wrong and God was punishing them.
yeah. Now here's the thing. Her doctors checked and they said there was a possibility of a few that she could have had based on the mental illness. The physical parts didn't come in until a couple months ago.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it wasn't like it was completely out of the blue, but they did get a worst case scenario.
Right.
With this one.
Right.
So right now, best thing they can do is pray, get the right medication, find someone who knows this disability well, and get the training required to help with that.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And now I'll go to the second question here. And I'm gonna ask. The question is somebody sent in? Is there any way you can learn if you have a disability?
Easily. Learning disabilities, to clarify, just means that you have trouble learning in certain ways. Like, some people are visual learners, some people are auditory, some people are just by doing it with their bare hands. So figuring out which one it is for you will help.
In terms of what? What are you saying?
Like, say...
If I think I have a you say mental disability. Or, you know...
Well, it depends...
Let's talk about learning disability. Because we all have our limits.
Yeah, but this one... The reason this one was more pronounced for this person was they wanted to know, can they learn it all? They were really confused. They didn't know that most people have some preferred way of learning anyways.
Uh-huh.
And in a way you could see it as a minor disability, how you learn.
Yeah.
But, like, take ADHD or ADD. They generally do better with their hands than they do by audio or visual. So, but some people just do better but can still learn the other ways.
It's in a physical disability. Maybe somebody learns better with their visual
or auditory.
Right. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, basically. So generally, the person was confused. They thought, "Oh, this person has a learning disability. Well, they can't learn at all." And very far from the truth. There are very few select cases where a person cannot learn.
Oh yeah. Right. Okay.
And we've talked about those on the series before.
Well, give us a refresher. It's only been 6 years.
Okay, so one of the...
And just one's good.
Like, people who are the R word, we've retarded.
Okay.
I still don't like saying it. But the R type, they almost exclusively learn by hand.
Right.
Because they have trouble hearing, and they
learn by hand, and the world kind of comes to them because they're learning something, and then they can learn other things. Is that how it works?
Yeah, they still have very limited understanding.
Gotcha.
But they can learn 100 times easier by hand rather than auditory or visual.
Right. And would you say that we're doing a good job in discovering these things about people with disabilities? Is America covering it enough?
No.
No.
But to put it simply, the U.S. spends about as much on this, is one of the worst countries for disabilities in the world. There are only one country and one continent that has it, that's doing it worse than America.
Uh-huh.
The country is China and the continent is Africa.
Right.
And both of those, you do not want to be compared to that.
But they're worse. They are. I mean, I know we don't want to be compared to them, but they don't.
To put it simply, China is very harshly punishing people for not being able to learn. If you can't learn the way they've developed, you're basically considered a 5th grade citizen.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is really...
not even 3rd grade, 5th grade.
Right.
And you're lucky if you are exiled and not punished in other ways. Exile is actually your best option if you have problems learning in China.
I'm going to have to look some of that stuff up, Vincent. We're going to take a quick break, real quick, and I'll be right back with more Vincent and Raising Awareness, episode 14. We'll be right back.
We are MCTV, Midshore Community Television. We want your help in making our station more robust so that we can better serve the residents of Talbot County. So, how can you help? If you are already making video content, submit that content for broadcast to the station. It's free! Are you involved in events, shows, or lectures that would be of interest to the community? We can work with you to figure out the best way to capture those events for airing on MCTV, be it training, equipment rental, or hiring our production staff to film at a reasonable rate. Do you want to produce your own show? Let us help you get started. Come be a part of this valuable community resource. Email the station at nick@avalonfoundation.org or visit us in the basement of the historic Avalon Theater at 40 East Dover Street in downtown Easton.
Welcome back, everyone, to Raising Awareness with Vincent Sissom. This is episode 14. Vincent, it has been great talking to you again.
Feels great.
I haven't talked to you in 4 years. I didn't even see you. I didn't go to Target. See, I stayed in. I was chicken.
Okay.
I remember I think at one time during the COVID that there was a person who sneezed like 100 yards away from me. I ran in my house.
Okay.
So you got where I'm coming from, right? Anyway, we got one more question, then we're going to do some hot topics and current events with Vincent. Vincent, why has there been such a negative stigma towards autism and those who have it, and what can be done in order to lessen or remove the stigma?
Well, for the first part, you can thank Autism Speaks for trying to represent the autism community and doing so poor of a job.
Autism Speaks?
Yeah, Autism Speaks, and ironically, most of the ones that claim to represent autism do have such contradictory actions that it's ridiculous. But there are
what have they done wrong?
Well, they've...
How have they done it? I mean, because autism is... It's in the news. I mean, not all the time, but like we do talk about it a lot. It's a word that we.
Autism is generally a spectrum of being socially awkward, but having the ability to recognize patterns better, and they emphasize the socially awkward part. Just look up on Google how many freaking stories there are about Autism Speaks, and you'd be wondering, why has autism not been sent to Autism Speaks being rated against?
Right.
Literally.
So you need to make some changes at the top to help remove it and lessen it. Is that what you're saying?
Autism Speaks, the company, they need to basically do a massive reboot.
How big is it? Is it a huge corporation or something like that?
It's a huge nonprofit.
How huge, you know?
It's the only nonprofit that I'm aware of.
Somebody look that up, please. Autism Speaks. We'll get that information. Anyway.
Autism Speaks, I believe, is the only one that originated in the U.S. that has reached other countries.
Is that right? Okay, gotcha. So it's big. I mean, if other countries. Yeah. Well, sometimes it's hard to keep your message when you get that big, right?
But there is another problem.
What's the other problem?
With the stigma, and that's because quite a few people have claimed to have autism when they really didn't, and those people have misconstrued the public image of autism.
Say it again.
Some people have claimed they have autism when they really don't, and anyone who knows the disability knows this person just is so socially awkward, and...
That's really interesting. So do we overdiagnose autism?
Not to the same extent as ADHD or Asperger's, and surprisingly, it's one of the ones that is on the lower end of overdiagnosed in comparison, but there are people who have never been tested claiming they have it, thinking because they Google the symptoms, which as a joke, the joke is never Google your symptoms.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. I've actually learned that one too. That's very good, Vincent.
So the best way to lessen it. It ain't never gonna go away anytime soon, but to lessen it, we need to make it needs to start at the person-to-person level.
Right.
Talk to people,
There you
explain why you have those problems, and generally, when you explain your limitations and your strengths, that will better help them understand, okay, so this person is better able to handle accounting, but I should not have them handling the paperwork itself, just the calculations.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, well that's
Tim, we have some information on Autism Speaks.
Yes.
So very little money donated to Autism Speaks goes towards helping autistic people and families.
Yeah, I forgot about that, thank you.
Only 1% of Autism Speaks budget goes towards the family service grants that are the organization's means of funding services.
Ooh.
It also says that Autism Speaks has only one autistic person out of a total of 28 individuals on its board of directors.
28 board of directors. Wow,
By
yeah.
contrast, 23 out of 28 board members represent major corporations.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
That's another.
I think you might have broken a case here.
And the third biggest topic on this is Autism Speaks fundraising strategies promote fear, stigma, and prejudice against autistic people.
Did you write this?
No.
Your Wikipedia page for them?
No, not even glove. I don't touch Wikipedia for the record.
Right. All right. Well, thank you very much, Dean. That was. I think you're 100% right. Whenever somebody needs to look into that company.
Yeah.
All right. So the hot topics. Here we go. So we get to some local, some national hot topics. Let's go with the economy. What do you think? First of all, I know the economy is a separate thing. Tell me about the economy.
To put it simply, anyone who's saying the economy is good, I recommend seeing a psychiatrist for your mental health. Because
how's it affected you? How is it different for you?
Personally, it hasn't affected me as much.
So who's it affecting? And I get you.
The majority of people.
Popular to say the economy is not doing well right now. Right?
Yeah, like the majority of Americans are struggling. I personally am not struggling as much because my rent is low,
You work a lot of hours.
Well, I don't work that many hours. I receive SSI and SSDI.
Uh-huh.
I do work to help get me out of the house, and to have some spending money. But otherwise, yeah, I basically don't do. It doesn't affect me as much.
Okay.
But there are people in the apartment complex I live at. They are struggling to pay to get groceries.
Right, yeah.
Like, inflation, anyone who says inflation is good for the economy above 2% is brain dead and needs some serious help.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And funny enough, anyone who knows the economy knows generally it's government spending that causes inflation. Like, there are a few other factors like supply chain shortages involving the baby formula that has caused some problems. Some shortages, some recalls, but the primary way the economy has inflation is government spending in general. Not just printing money, government spending in general. People spending money also slightly causes inflation, but government spending, and especially government printing money, just causes the economy to have massive inflation.
yeah. I mean, I think everybody kind of knew that something was good when they started passing out the checks to people over the last couple of years. That we knew something was good. We were going to have to reconcile that, and unfortunately, most generations can't. Your dad, you don't remember, but like your parents, your uncles, your aunts, your nieces, whatever. In the 70s, you had a big inflation thing too, and then the next thing you knew, everybody was a yuppie, and was driving BMWs. I mean, so I don't know how it's supposed to work. We have to pay for putting out that cash, I guess. And you're saying that the government is still spending even more money on top of that.
Well, we can actually thank Joe Manchin and Christian Cinema for ironically stopping Build Back Better, because if it was not completely paid for by the taxes written within it, inflation would be over 10%. Easily.
All right.
Just because of how much spending there be.
Are you going to go into politics?
No. I know myself, I shouldn't be in politics. I'd just be one of those people that should advise people on what to do, not actually doing those.
Gotcha. Now, do you think Republicans and Democrats should get along, work together?
Let me put it this way.
Uh-huh.
Democrats are basically...
Vincent, watch yourself.
Crazy.
Vincent.
To put it mildly.
And Republicans are...
roadblocks.
So you have a crazy... That's good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's...
Do you think they should work together?
Personally, the party should be the last thing they consider when making their vote. They should be talking to the people they represent and getting their input and voting that way first and foremost.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
So, if your constituents love government spending and don't care about anything else, well, then I'd be perfectly fine with you supporting government spending.
Right.
If your district is more on the lines of, we like services to be functioning, but we don't want the economy to completely crash, vote that way.
Right. Okay, that's very good, Vincent. Very good. Let's talk about the war in Ukraine real quick.
Just as a general saying, I personally don't like war.
Mm-hmm.
I knew if Joe Biden got in, we'd have another war. Just because the guy is one of those guys that loves war.
Joe Biden loves war.
Yeah, that's the only topic.
What about Putin?
He's
got love war a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. I don't support Russia. I'm not a supporter of Russia. And I disagree with the war in general.
Uh-huh.
But I also disagree that the U.S. should be doing much of anything without NATO facilitating it. NATO should be primarily handling this war. U.S. needs to back off. If NATO requires something, Joe Biden should just sign an executive order sending it to him. Uh-huh. It shouldn't even go through Congress. That's how much I'm saying it should go through NATO.
Right.
Anything that NATO doesn't request, we don't send over. Okay?
Gotcha.
That's my baseline opinion about the war in Ukraine.
Okay.
Let NATO handle it, and the war is basically over. Let's be flat out. Anyone who knows Russian tactics or has studied generally Russia's tactics for this war, the war's over. Because Russia was hoping to get ground but lose casualties and did not care about casualties.
Uh-huh.
Wanted to minimize them wherever can, but basically get ground. The fact that they haven't conquered the entirety of Ukraine already means the war is over.
Good point.
After 1 month...
They should have dominated them. Russia, as strong as they say, they should be able to dominate. The fact that they can't means they're not going to stick with it for 20 years to try to beat them.
No, not even come close. The only way they get even some sort of victory is if Russia nukes the rest of Ukraine. That's all they're gonna. That's their only option at this point, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, that's what we got to watch out. Hopefully,
so unless they plan on just taking what they have and running with it, they're not gonna. That's the only option.
Right. So you're saying let NATO, and because of all that, you're saying let NATO make all the decisions.
I was saying that
before that happened.
Yeah, let NATO handle this.
Right. Gotcha.
All right.
All right, last topic. Here we go. What do you think about the houses in Trapp?
I have not been aware of that. I mean, housing around in Talbot County has been a major problem, but so I'm always in supportive of new housing, but let's just hope that the housing goes to those who need it and not to rich people who just want to raise the rent.
Very good point. Yeah, do you see more traffic in town? Do you see it getting a bit more busier when when you're riding around, is the shopping center at Target even more packed than it was before, that type of thing?
Not as much. Like during the initial few early months of COVID, we did see a spike, but then it started to taper, go back to normal as soon as summer hit. Basically,
Okay.
from March till May, we had what might be considered summertime.
Right.
Well,
okay, yeah, well, it's busier then, right?
But it basically went back to normal after that.
Right.
And then, as of late, we've actually been slowing down.
Interesting. That's interesting because that'll be happening everywhere, right? Maybe that's to do with the economy. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Vincent, this has been awesome, buddy. I'm really glad to have been back with you. I appreciate you coming in and continuing on with raising awareness. Who knows? Hopefully, we can get in. The
Next
Facebook
episode
question.
should be a couple months from now.
And they can message you on Facebook. And send
Not Facebook.
What are you on now?
Basically Discord.
Discord. Okay. All right. Check that out. I'll have to check that out too. Look for Vincent Sissom if you want to send a question.
Well, it wouldn't be under Vincent Sissom. It'd be under my username Oradrac.
Oradrac.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that next time.
Yeah, next time.
Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Raising awareness. Thank you.